Hi guys, Matt here from paultan.org, and today we're going to take a quick look at the new Honda HR-V Hybrid. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the Honda hybrid system, the latest one is what the HR-V gets. Similar to the Honda City and Honda Jazz Sport Hybrid, this is based off the Grade E, which is now the base or entry-level model. But however, pricing-wise, this is priced at 121,000 ringgit, making it just one tier below the range-topping HR-V RS. So, for first things first, we're going to go through the car and see what's new. Up front, you got a new bumper, slimmer headlights, as well as a thicker and bolder grille. From the side, 17-inch carryover wheels from before, dual-tone design, and it's 1 inch smaller than the HR-V RS, so it doesn't look as sporty as it should. And of course, the obvious difference is the hybrid badging here, as well as another one on the tailgate just under the taillights. Alright, as for the rear, unfortunately we don't get the tube LED style taillights, but this one is slightly different in the sense that it's only smoked, but design-wise it's a carryover from before. Highlighting change is the addition of this really slim chrome strip that go end to end, much like all the facelifted HR-V, and again, the hybrid badge on the left. Other than that, the boot. The only difference between this and the petrol-only variant is that this doesn't come with a spare tyre, simply because underneath the boot floor is a hybrid battery. As a result of that, the battery eats up about 33 litres of space, so you get about 404 litres of boot space with the seats folded up. With the seats folded down, you get about 990, and don't worry, Ultra seats are still here, so it's still as practical as the HR-V gets. In the cabin, things remain fairly familiar. However, the new 6.8-inch touchscreen head unit here is shared with the base model 1.8E, so it's not the 7-inch, slightly fancier one that you get with the V and the RS. The seats are new, it's slightly more supportive, and it features a new pattern. And unique to the hybrid is this new gear shifter. It's a shift-by-wire system that you find in the City and Jazz Sport Hybrid. However, it gets an additional sport mode, and we're going to test the drive in a bit. Also, on the topic of change, the instrument cluster is specific to the hybrid variant, so you get two digital screens on the side that flank the speedometer in the middle. Another thing I want to bring your attention to is the lower center console here. Unfortunately, unlike cars like the Proton X70, which is similarly priced as this, comes with a very rudimentary 12-volt socket and no additional USB ports. The only USB port you can find is in this weird slot right here, which only supports one device. But all things considered, I think this is still one of the more practical cars in its price range, so that is a strong suit still for the Honda HR-V. Okay, so obviously the HR-V Hybrid does not share the same powertrain as the 1.8-litre engine. This guy gets a 1.5-litre 4-cylinder petrol hybrid engine, because this one is a direct injection unit, making about 132 PS and 152 Newton meters of torque. So that is like 20 PS more powerful than the 1.5-litre unit in the City Sport Hybrid. Together with a 22 kilowatt electric motor, this guy puts out a total combined output of 152 PS and 190 Newton meters of torque. So that figure itself is more powerful than the 1.8-litre petrol engine that is found in the regular HR-V. In fact, Honda is going as far as to say that this hybrid combination is more powerful or as powerful as a 2-litre petrol engine. But on paper, it falls slightly short of the Mazda CX-3's 2-litre engine, but the numbers are pretty close. Another thing I want to highlight is the fact that this guy gets a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, and my word, this guy is an exceedingly superior transmission when you compare it to the CVT, because this makes this HR-V hybrid drive a lot more differently, you know? Like, I can take twisty bends and actually change gears. It feels like a different car altogether, much like the City Sport Hybrid. But again, it's not supposed to be an all-out sporty SUV, because this is still primarily geared towards those who live in a city or those who just want a fuel-efficient hybrid car. So to that extent, this car manages about 4.4 liters to the 100 kilometer, and that is considerably lesser than the 1.8 liter HRV's 6.3 liters per 100 kilometers. For performance, this guy has 3 driving modes: Eco, Normal, and Sport, which I am in right now. And when you shift it into Sport, it's going to give you the car's full hybrid potential, which is to say, pretty good. The engine on the outside sounds a little bit rougher, this being a direct injection unit, so you can hear a little bit of a louder clatter compared to the 1.8's more refined nature. But on the inside, when you're driving and at full pelt, it actually sounds pretty good, pretty sporty even. For a family car like this, I don't mind that trait. So in terms of outright performance, this guy is actually pretty decent, and I would recommend it, or actually I would prefer this over the 1.8 petrol only. In terms of suspension, it's still about the same as before. It's stiff because the back gets a torsion beam setup and the whole hybrid system adds a little bit of weight, but it's not clear how much modifications they did to the entire suspension setup. We spoke to the engineers, but we were told that they only upgraded or changed a little bit of a component, so maybe the springs are stiffer to compensate for the weight gain, but by and large it feels the same as before, if not a little bit more composed through the bends. So it's not as extensive or comprehensive as the CT Sport Hybrid, where it gets, thicker dampers and better springs and all that. But this guy, more or less the same. In terms of ride comfort, this is not the best, but it gets the job done. I think the XV feels miles more sophisticated in terms of ride comfort, and the CX-3 is better damped, as is the CHR's double wishbone setup. I also want to bring your attention to NVH because Honda, as with most of their facelift exercise, decided to add a little bit more sound deadening material, so the cabin feels slightly better insulated compared to the older HRV. They didn't specify where in the car it gets more sound deadening material, but it's there and probably takes a decibel or two off the overall experience. But when you're driving at full pelt, you can still hear the engine, so it doesn't make much of a difference. Okay, so time for some closing thoughts. The HRV Hybrid comes with a 5-year unlimited mileage warranty, plus an additional 3 years for the hybrid battery replacement, so a total of 8. The problem with this car is that I find the specifications to be a little bit of a disappointment, because this being a hybrid car, it's not Honda's first, but it's a first for the B segment compact crossover segment. I mean, specs wise, for 121,000 ringgit, can be a bit better lah, the hybrid is supposed to be a car for the thinking buyer, one that puts a little bit more thought and effort before actually purchasing a car. So I've got two possible scenarios for how people would prefer the HRV over the class leading, or I think the best bargain that one can get right now, the Proton X70. So if you're the kind of guy who cannot get past the badge stigma, if you're haunted by past unpleasant experience with Proton, then yeah, maybe you don't want to give them a chance. You want to go for a Honda, sure, fine, that's fair. The second scenario is for people who want a very practical family car, but they don't want to drive around a big, humongous SUV that is the size of the CR-V, which is the Proton X70, because it's a C-segment SUV, so it's big and a little bit more unwieldy to drive if you do a lot of city driving. So in that regard, the Honda HR-V presents itself as a very interesting alternative because it's a smaller car to drive, but it's supremely practical. You can have the Ultra seats in multiple seating configuration. If you run a small business, this car makes sense. If you do a lot of city driving, the EV mode is going to help you save a lot more fuel. For example, if you're driving in EV mode, you can cruise at up to 80 kilometers per hour without the engine kicking in. But it wasn't specified what range you can get. Maybe a kilometer max, maybe a little less than that because this car is heavier. But all that aside, the HR-V Hybrid, again, a little bit of a disappointment. If I were to buy the HR-V Hybrid, I would want it to come with LED lights, better specs, maybe a 7-inch touchscreen unit, maybe leather seats, I can't believe the HRV RS is only 4,000 ringgit more. You get really swanky white leather seats, 18-inch wheels, which comes with variable gear ratio, which means the steering wheel tightens and it also will loosen when you drive in the city, but this guy feels more or less the same to drive from before. So all small little things, but when you put them together, it takes away some of the pleasantries that the HRV hybrid can really potentially deliver. Alright, so to wrap it all up, I think that is where I stand with the Honda HR-V Hybrid. I think overall it really is a good car. We are the only market outside of Japan to get the sport hybrid derivative, and I think that is quite a big honor for us to claim. But let me know what you think of the HR-V Hybrid in the comment section below. Do you agree with what I think? Do you feel like the HR-V Hybrid should be better equipped or better spec'd or looks slightly better than the lame halogen projector lights that we get up front? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below, and we would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you all so much for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.